Good afternoon, children. How are you? Hope you are fine. Are you so happy now? No. Why not? Because we are under a threat of corona. Now, the word corona is very familiar to us. Every day we wake up with a fear that how many positive cases are reported, how many people are there in home quarantine, and how many people are there in institutional quarantine. Anyhow, we will overcome this situation. We are sure that corona, it is a pandemic disease. We, the human beings, think we are the superpower of the Mother Earth. Now, a microscopic organ controls the whole world. Now we are helpless. Only one thing we can do, that is stay at home, stay safe. We know Vaikam Muhammad Bashir. Is a prominent Malayalam writer. In his famous work, The Hairs of Earth, he says that each and every creature has the right to live in this world. He says that each and every creature has the right to live in this world like human beings. That means not only human beings, but we think we only have the right to live in this world. That concept should be changed. Our attitude towards the nature should be changed. Then only we can overcome this type of situation in our life. Right? Here is a poem titled Lines Written in Early Spring by William Wordsworth. Have you heard of William Wordsworth? William Wordsworth is a famous writer or famous poet in the world of English literature. He was born on 7th April 1770 and he passed away on 23rd April 1780. William Wordsworth, our writer, is known as romantic poet. He is also known as nature poet. In most of his works, we can see nature's influence. So, he is known as nature poet also. Got it? Then, let us come to the lines of the poem. Before coming to that poem, you just look here. What do you see there? Some other images are there. Can you see? Some other images are there. And two parts are there. First and second part. And the first part what you see, and here the second part what you see. You just watched. First part we see streams, valleys, plants, flowers. In short, we can say that natural beauty is there. That is the real beauty of the nature. But here, what you see? Here, everything is artificial. Huge bungalows are there, buildings are there, companies are there, roads are there. Then everything is artificial. Because of we people only, that change or those changes came in nature. We are responsible for that. That is why nowadays we are facing natural calamities. Last year also, and before last year also, we faced it all. Not flood, but deluge. Okay, got the idea? And which one do you like the most? First or second? First one, why? Because natural beauty is there only. Okay? That's all. Next, let's go through the lines of the poem titled Lines Written in Early Spring. There are 6 stanzas. 6 stanzas are there. Each stanza contains 4 lines. Each stanza contains 4 lines. A stanza contains 4 lines is known as quatrain. What? Quatrain. So we can say here 6 quatrains are there. And we can discuss each and every stanza in detail. Okay, are you ready? Then come to the lines. The poem begins like this. In the beginning of the poem, the poet says, I heard 1,000 blended notes. I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove I sat reclined. In that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. The poet says, I heard. Who is I here? The poet, William Wordsworth. Okay, right. He says, he heard 1,000 blended notes. First of all, I say the meaning of the words. 1,000 meaning, you know that. Blended here means mixed, right? Mixture of notes. Notes mean music. The poet says that I heard, that means heard, that is the past form of the verb hear. I could hear 1,000 blended notes. that much music I could hear. The poet says, then we can say he could hear or he heard. Got it? While in a grove, I sat reclined. When he could hear 1,000 notes, while in a grove means a garden full of trees, plants, flowers are there. Okay, that place is known as grove. I sat. The poet says that I sat there. Sat means that's the old form of the word sat. Sat. Okay, sit, sat. I sat reclined. Reclined means relaxed mode. So let's come to the point. The poet could hear 1,000 blunted notes. That much blunted note, that much music he could hear. When he could hear? While in a grove I sat to recline. When the poet was sitting in a grove, in relaxed mood. He was free-minded then. No tension is there. No disturbances are there. Then he could hear different songs of the nature, we can say. In the nature itself, there are many creatures. Those creatures are singing songs. Got it? In that third line, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. Sweet mood, good mood, nice mood. I was sitting in a grove, in a garden, and my mind or relaxed mood or sweet mood, good mood, then pleasant thoughts came. I was so happy there. When I was sitting in the grove, I was so happy. At the same time, sad thoughts also came to me. Why? Why he becomes sad? Because when he is thinking of the human being's deeds, when he is thinking of human beings' harmful activities, he becomes sad. Right? So again I say the stanza. In the first stanza, the poet says that he heard 1,000 blunted notes. That means he could hear different types of songs in the nature when he was sitting in a grove or sitting in a garden, and he was in a relaxed mood. He was so happy there. Actually, he was enjoying the life there. At the same time, sad thoughts also come there because of the human beings' harmful activities. Human beings are destroying or destructing the nature. That's why he becomes sad. Got the idea of the first stanza? Right? The next, second stanza. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran. And much to grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. To her fair works. Her here means natures. Here, nature is a lady. We call the nature not father but mother only. So the poet used or uses the word her. Fair means good. The nature does good works. That means nature's works are so good. And that nature tries to link. Link means connect the human soul or with the human being. Through me ran. I am also a human being. The poet says, like me, the persons, okay, with them, the poet or the nature connects her good works, right? And much it grieved my heart to think. And here grieved means pained. You know, pain is past form of pained. Much it grieved my heart to think. It gives me pain when to think what man has made of man. What the human beings are doing when I am thinking of that. Human beings are destroying the nature, destructing the nature, and human beings are destroying themselves. Why they are not bother of the nature? Why they are not at all bothering of themselves? If I am thinking of these things, I feel pain. That means I can't enjoy the life. Because I am also a human being. Like me, the human beings are doing what? They are destroying. They are destructing the nature. When I am thinking of these things or human beings' activities, it gives me grief. Grief means sadness, sorrow. I become sad. Got the idea? Okay, these are the things we can discuss in the second stanza, right? Do I want to repeat? No. Next stanza, third one. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trail is wreathed. And it's my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. Through primrose, word meaning, primrose means is a type of flowering plant, right? Tufts mean bunch group. In that green bower means that's a shady place under the tree. Through primrose tufts, many primrose are there. Many flowering plants are there like primroses. Bunch we already said, group. The periwinkle is also a flowering plant. Trailed is wreath. Trailed means spread. It's wreath we know. Okay, bunch of flowers. Okay, we make it in a particular pattern. Okay, that is here means much flowers are there. By using these flowers, what are they? Primrose, periwinkle, these flowers, the nature makes wreaths. Like that the poet feels. Got the idea? And this is my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. And it is my faith. I believe that. It is my belief. Every flower enjoys the air it breathes. Each and every flower is enjoying. I think each and every flower is enjoying its breath. It breathes happily. Again I say, this my faith that every flower enjoys the air breathes. Each and every flower in the nature is enjoying the air, enjoying the beauty of the nature. They are so happy. They are living the happily. Another meaning is behind that. People, we the human beings are not at all happy. Why? Our attitude towards the nature is like that. So in the beginning I told you, we have to change our attitude. Then only we can feel the nature as blessing. Got the idea? So I repeat the same. In the third stanza, the poet says that there are many flowering plants in the nature or the garden, like a primrose, periwinkle. Okay, many are though. And nature creates wreaths. The poet feels like that. And he says it is his faith, or he believes that each and every flower is enjoying the air very well. That means they are so happy there. They can enjoy. That means we can't enjoy. That is the meaning of the third stanza. Got the idea? Right? Next, fourth stanza. See, in the fourth stanza, the poet says about some other scenes we see in the lap of nature. The birds around me hopped and played. Their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. We know that there are many birds in the lap of nature. The birds around me, the poet says the birds around me. We can say the birds around us. They hopped. Hopped means jumped and played. They are jumping and playing. That means the birds also are playing. The birds also are enjoying the life in the lap of nature. Okay. In the last stanza we said flowers they are enjoying. Here we say birds they are enjoying. Their thoughts I cannot measure. I can't measure their thoughts. It is beyond my measurement. It is beyond my imagination. That much they are happy in the lap of nature or in the nature. Okay? But the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. But one thing I am sure, even the least motion, even a single movement, least means very less, okay, or a single movement, motion means movement, which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. Okay, even it's a single movement, I feel, or it seemed thrill of pleasure. Okay, they are so thrilled. Birds are so thrilled. Their movements are so thrilled. They are excited. Birds are excited. I feel like that. Nature also feels like that. So in the fourth stanza, the poet says about the birds. Okay, the birds around him. Okay, they are so happy. They are playing, and he says he can't measure their thoughts, It is beyond his calculation or imagination. And it is even its least motion also makes thrill or excitement. Got it? That's all about the fourth stanza. Next, fifth stanza. All of you look. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air. And I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. Budding twigs, what do you meaning? I say, budding twigs here mean tender branches of the trees. Spread out of their fan. They are spreading out their fan to catch the breezy air. For what? To catch the breezy air. And I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. But one thing is there was a pleasure everywhere. Budding twigs spread out of their fan. Here fan means what? Fanning, okay? Branches are there fanning. The budding twigs, the branches are spreading out their fan to catch. For what? To catch the breezy air. Even the branches want to catch the breezy air. That air in the nature is so pure one. That is why the branches also want to catch the breezy air. They also are enjoying. And I must think, I have to think that, do all I can, that there was a pleasure. But one thing I am sure that everywhere I can see happiness. Everywhere pleasure is there. Okay. In each and every corner of the nature, there is a pleasure. Okay, got it? That's all about the fifth stanza, right? Dear children, the last stanza we explained the budding trees spread out their fan. That means tender branches of the trees. They were catching the breezy air. And I must hear, he says, the poet says, I must think, do all I can. There was a pleasure. He says that he can see the happiness everywhere in nature. Okay, there only we stopped. Next one. Next last stanza. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? If this belief from heaven be sent, this belief is divine one, or it is from heaven, or it is heavenly belief. That heavenly means, we know, it is from God or divine. So the nature's holy plan. Actually, this is nature's holy plan. What's the plan here? Coexistence of the creatures. Coexistence of the nature. And here, the nature feels everything with pleasure, and the man doesn't realize that. That only the poet says. This is nature's plan to do like this. We already discussed in some other stanzas. Nature provides everything. That is nature's holy plan, because it is a it is from God, it is nature's gift or a blessing. But human beings are not at all bothering of that. Or man doesn't realize that holy plan. Again, the poet says, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? It is a question. Actually, the poet exclaims, he wonders why the people are like this. Why the people are not at all bothering of the nature's gift. And he asks, have I not reason to lament? Lament means to cry. And he asks himself. There is no answer to it. He simply asks himself, I have a reason. Suppose if you are crying, there will be a reason. If you are becoming sad, there will be a reason. Anyhow, reason will be there. And here the poet says, I also have the reason to lament, to cry. What is the reason here? When I am thinking of man's deeds. When I am thinking what man has been doing against the nature. Human beings' activities, what harmful activities. When I am thinking of that, I am lamenting over. And he asks, what happened to the man? Human beings are destroying themselves. They are not knowing that one. Okay, right? These things only in the last stanza, the poet shares with us. Again I say, if this belief from heaven be sent, you such he nature's holy plan. This thought or these plans are divine. Everything is from God. And it is a blessing, it is a gift from God. And he, at last he says, I have some other reasons to lament. Though the beauty is there, though everything is so happy in the lap of nature, I can't. I here means I am the representative of human beings. We people can't enjoy when we are thinking of our own deeds. So the poet says, our approach, our attitude towards nature should be changed. Then only we can enjoy the blessing of the nature. Then only we can live happily in this world. That's all about the last stanza. And when we conclude the poem, we get to some other ideas. What are they? First of all, in this poem, the poet Wordsworth, William Wordsworth, says about the beautiful sights, scenes, and sounds of nature. That's one thing. Beautiful sights, scenes, and sounds of nature. Next, he says, in this world, in this material world, in this nature, every creature is happy. Everything is happy. Every plant is happy, every bird is happy, every animal is happy. But human beings are not happy. Because human beings are destroying the nature. Then next one, third one, the poet says, actually the poet is worrying that one. He is worrying of. He wonders what happened to the men. So he says, about the human beings' deeds or human beings, they are exploiting the nature. Human beings or people, or we the people, are exploiting the nature. That is why natural calamities are coming. That's why tsunami comes. Anyhow, if we are doing like this, if we behave like this, if our approach is like this towards the nature, we are sure that one day nature will respond. So, these are the points we discussed here in this poem. Here is one message, that is, live and let them live. That is the message we get from this poem. We can live, no problem. Everything is you. Nature provides everything to us. We can live, no problem. But let them live. Others also want to live in this world. We should know the reality that you already said. Every creature has equal right to live in this world. Then there should be a harmony in between the nature and human beings. Harmony means connection, good relation. There should be a good relation or harmony in between nature and the people or human beings. Okay, children. I think all of you got the ideas what we discussed here. Questions are the textual activities are the figure of speech. Some other things, many things we have to discuss. Those things we can discuss in the next class. Okay? Home from this place unknown. The sky's bright, rain on me, my eyes. Here's a been anywhere.